Okay, hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Salaar.
My name is Jay.
My name is Jay.
That is Nico.
Okay, we're restarting it. Can we restart one more time?
Nope,
Don't cut it,
nope,
don't cut it.
nope.
Don't cut it, okay.
You're stuck with that now. But anyways, so welcome guys to the JSN Podcast. This is gonna be a podcast talking about like media, like movies, music, games, etc. And today's topic is gonna be Avengers Endgame and the MCU, etc. So but before we get into that, let's get into like some introductions. So, one of you guys want to start us off?
I think Salaar should start us off.
Yeah.
All right.
Nico probably agrees.
All right. So just to start off, I mean, you guys heard it. My name is Salaar. The films I'm into are I'm into dramas and a lot of action movies, like Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, probably my favorite directors. Favorite actor probably Leonardo DiCaprio, and that's kind of basic. But in terms of music, I'm really into sort of classic rock, but also some modern trap. I know it's kind of a weird combination, but yeah. In terms of games, I kind of play anything. I play a lot of fighting games, a lot of first-person shooters, and a lot of puzzle. Pretty much anything I'll enjoy if it's good. So, when do you guys want to kick it off?
Well,
I'll go.
Okay,
No, I'm
Nico
going.
can go.
So, well, the type of movies I really like. Well, my favorite director is Wes Anderson because he's just kind of quirky, and he gets me like nobody else does.
I feel you.
Yeah. My favorite type of music. So there's this band I don't even know what they're called, but underground they heard of themselves.
What about games?
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, you play a lot of Siege. I can tell
Oh
you.
yeah,
this.
yeah. That one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're into shooters. Overwatch, Siege, etc.
What do you say?
Yeah, would you say you're into shooters?
Yeah, but I thought I heard a certain word in there.
All right, Jay. Why don't you want to?
Overwatch? What?
Don't worry, that's for episode 3.
Anyway, that game. So, my movie tastes are what Salaar called his basic. I think that mine are far more basic. I just like movies that are fun, which means I don't have a particular favorite director or actor or anything of that sort, and I would not call myself anywhere near a connoisseur.
Well, he likes Star Wars, so I think we shouldn't trust his opinion.
That's entirely valid. But in terms of genres, I do like sci-fi, fantasy occasionally, but Lord of the Rings is overrated.
Oh wow. Okay, these are
Okay,
fighting
whoa,
words.
whoa, whoa,
These
whoa,
these
whoa,
are
whoa, whoa,
fighting
whoa, 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 whoa,
words. These are fighting
Whoa.
words.
Okay, never mind.
Oh god.
Never mind. We're changing the
All
topic of the first episode.
All right, so
All right. So anyways, so introductions out of the way, we can get into wrong introductions and opinions out of the way. I guess we
well,
can.
I wanted to get into music, but then you
Oh
cut me
yeah,
off.
fine, Jay. Go. I know you like.
Oh yeah.
music.
What music do you like?
Well, just eclectic stuff. Generally,
Oh my God.
80s, 90s, 2000s. Most songs I will end up liking them probably at some point,
Yes,
unless
quite-
they're
he-
repetitive pop trash.
He is not a
I
film
don't
connoisseur,
disagree-
but he
I
is a
don't
music
disagree with-
connoisseur.
And
I disagree with you
games.
with the fact that you called it eclectic. I'm gonna
What's
end
the
you.
word eclectic?
I'm gonna end you.
Games, mostly strategy, occasionally FPS.
Hmm.
Siege, that's the one game we kind of all play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of bothers me. Also, Smash occasionally, but
Oh, yeah,
that's
for
because
sure.
everyone plays Smash, and
Yeah.
if you don't, you have bad taste. So,
This.
yeah.
All right, so I guess so. Why don't we get into this first episode's gonna be a movie, or like movie based. So just so you guys know, like sort of the format of these episodes, they're probably gonna be one episode's on a movie, one's on like a game. One's on like a music genre or like an artist, and then one's gonna be on a game. It's sort of gonna like revolve around this pattern. So like there's gonna be stuff for everybody. But for today, like I said, focusing on Avengers Endgame and stuff like that. So why don't you guys tell me what do you guys think about Endgame?
I'm gonna go first because I have the most positive opinion. I liked it a lot. The fan service was really nice, and honestly, for all the complaints about the lack of complexity of the villain in comparison to Infinity War, I mostly disagree. I think it was just a great movie, and it did that primarily through giving the fans what they wanted after 22 fantastic movies, excepting a few.
We're just spoiling it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. Yeah. This has spoilers in it.
Yeah, it's been long enough.
Yeah. The spoiler ban's been lifted. Go ahead.
Okay. I guess it's my turn. I liked it a lot. I wouldn't say I loved it as much as Infinity War or some other movies in the MCU, but I thought it was really good. I don't know. I can get into some more specifics later.
Oh yeah, no. Go ahead now. I mean.
Oh, again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think out of all the other MCU movies, I think this one had some really high highs. Like, there are some really great moments in this, but I also think that there are just moments where it dipped that other movies in the MCU kind of were more consistent. Like, that's kind of weird for me to say. But basically what I'm saying is, like, the whole like Fat Thor and like Hulk's like dabbing in the Fortnite kind of like I don't know. It brought me out of the film, and and they just kind of made me. I don't know.
I don't think that'll age well at all.
Yeah, it's not gonna age well. It just overall brought me out of the film. Whereas, like, I think of other movies in the MCU, which are some of my favorite, like Winter Soldier and Infinity War, where it was just consistently good. Like, even though I can understand that people love Endgame because of sort of the highs it hit with like that final battle, Captain America wielding Mjolnir and saying Avengers Assemble and all that stuff, I just don't think it was as consistent in its quality throughout its entire runtime. I think the moments where it's not up to par are few and far between, but they are there, unlike other movies in the MCU that I really love.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, overall, my take on Endgame, I think I'm kind of in the middle of you two. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the fan service was I think it was really needed because I mean, Infinity War, it people like thought it was gonna be the huge like, oh, all the characters combining movie, right? And then it ended up being a lot more of like a character study on Thanos, which is we'll get to this later, which is why I think it's better than Infinity War, but sorry, better than Endgame, but I think
your opinions have flipped. No,
but,
after you saw Endgame initially, you told me that you thought Endgame was better.
Yeah, I mean, like when I put more thought into it, I mean, we'll get into like talking about both those movies in a little bit, but Endgame in particular, like
I just think it's interesting. Like that's something we can touch upon. Like I think that's interesting that your opinion changed.
Yeah, I mean, like my opinion on Endgame in general though is it's pretty positive. I thought it was overall pretty good. I thought the pacing was like kind of bad, like not even like mediocre. I just thought it wasn't great. There was like a lot of time spent on like the post snap like apocalypse, like more than a third of the movie, like almost like like a little more than a third was like spent on that, and like it just felt really dreary, right? Like an entire act being spent on like this like I get that like they really want to emphasize how decimating the decimation was, right? But I just felt like it was a little overdone, and then the whole like heist, the time heist section, felt like super like it felt like rushed but slow at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it felt like they were just sort of doing their things, and then just because of the nature of everything being so cut and fast, it just felt like it felt like it was inconsistently paced. But the end battle, I will admit, was really awesome, and I think it got a good amount of time. I just wish certain characters weren't kind of like screwed over. Like Doctor Strange didn't do much in that final battle except like warp everybody there, and then
it wasn't really his movie though.
Oh yeah, I mean you're right, but like there are some characters who had like really awesome moments. I mean like. Mm-hmm. Like I get like it was really at its essence more of a Captain America and Iron Man movie, right? Like it was like they were the main characters of this film, right? And like obviously, I mean, because they're no longer going to be in the MCU, right? Because of their the Iron Man died, Captain America grew old, right? Like I understand like
he also dies, but yes.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he quote unquote dies. He's old though.
Died.
He's
Everyone
old.
dies.
Yeah, old man
Everyone
Cap.
Dies.
I'd also add that I think that Doctor Strange has a much greater contribution than you say, because He's the one holding back the giant wave from killing everyone at the end and turning and well, that saves the entire cast,
I guess,
which
yeah.
is pretty important.
I guess, but like,
Um,
like I mean, it's. I feel like it was just sort of like, how can we make Doctor Strange not destroy everybody? Let's make him like do this random task that like Scarlet Witch could do as well. You know what I mean? Like,
But I think Scarlet Witch
yeah,
applies that better. She could have totally soloed Thanos at a certain point.
oh yeah, for sure.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's a really good criticism of the movie to say that some characters didn't get their moment to shine, because I think those characters, sorry, uh, those characters got their moment in Infinity War, and I think a lot of other characters didn't really get their moments in Infinity War, but then ended up getting them in Endgame.
You're right. I think you're right. Especially
So
Ant-Man. I give them big props to giving Ant-Man
yeah,
like. I mean, I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion. I'm a huge fan of like the Ant-Man movie and franchise. So I was really happy with like how much representation of you know, of Ant-Man we got in there, and it was really cool to see like like everybody in the Ant-Man suits and like like young Hank Pym. That was awesome.
that was cool.
Yeah.
I like Ant-Man. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan,
Hmm.
but I agree that I think they integrate Ant-Man surprisingly well into the
Oh
Avengers.
yeah,
Also,
for
like when
sure.
you think you don't really think about it when you're watching the movie, but you gotta realize like he's never had any interaction with the Avengers outside of like that one moment in the first one where he went to their headquarters or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
Well,
true.
and Civil War, you kind of forgot that
Oh
part.
yeah.
Oh wait, okay, forget everything I just said. I totally forgot that Civil.
Yeah, but all right. So I guess we could sort of just like so I mean,
Oh my god. Oh,
how,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's all good, dude.
I forgot Civil War.
So how would you guys honestly so what you were saying, Nico, about like my opinion changing, like not like after I went back and rewatched like before my like second watching of Endgame, I went back and rewatched Infinity War, and honestly like even now I still feel like Infinity War was the superior film, right? And like honestly, because I mean I'm the kind of person who loves like character development and etc. in my films, right? Like excellent, like I really appreciate when characters are like really beautifully crafted, right? And I feel like Thanos in Infinity War was like so expertly made, and I feel like they portrayed him perfectly, and
Mhm.
like I feel like using Infinity War as both like this awesome adventure movie, but also like this like super interesting insight into the mind of this character who's like morally and ethically in turmoil, right? Like I think Infinity War was like something truly special. Like I feel like Infinity War is one of the few Marvel movies that is good as a Marvel movie, but as like a film in general, right? Like you could get rid of all the superheroes and stuff and replace them with like normal people, and it would still be like an excellent display of like character development and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's interesting though that you say that you liked it better because of the character development for Thanos. I remember when that movie originally came out, one of the biggest complaints about was that there wasn't really any character development for the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of was this movie that kind of relied on like all the character development coming before, and it's essentially like the third act of a gigantic movie but
Mm-hmm.
just made into its own movie.
I could see that. I mean, the
Yeah.
the I mean I
Not,
feel
not saying not that's not saying I don't like it or like I don't think it's good. Like I think Infinity War is like one of the best superhero movies. I'm just pointing out something that I think is interesting to talk about
mm-hmm.
because I mean I think because like I'm just thinking back to some of the original criticisms of it
Mm-hmm.
and how people sort of said like, oh well, if you just watch this movie on its own, it doesn't really stand up. You kind of need every other movie leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's interesting because now looking back, I'm also like, um, I think out of all the Marvel movies, it probably stands the most on its own. Where I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's my
if I'm
point.
gonna sit down and watch a single Marvel movie, I'm like, sure, I'll sit down and watch Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Okay.
if I were to show like somebody one Marvel movie to be like this is the essence of Marvel, I would show them Infinity War. I wouldn't show them Endgame.
I
And I know it.
disagree.
Okay,
I
dude,
would show
Oh,
them
talk about
Iron
it.
Man 1, but that's
Oh,
only because I like Iron Man 1 and it starts the entire series.
Ooh,
Also, it's great character development for Tony Stark. It's just fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Jay, I want to ask you. I mean, since you clearly value character development, what do you think about Infinity War versus Endgame?
I think that the criticisms of Infinity War are still correct. I don't think that there is much character development other than for Thanos in it. And I think that that's more character establishment, if that makes sense. Like, they're developing Thanos as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, of course. That's what character development is as well. But he's
Yeah,
an
it's
entirely new
character
person who has to be created and given a personality. It's not like he's evolving from a previous movie with different opinions and that sort of thing.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
At the same time,
I mean,
I
also
feel
like you can, but also like any movie, like in any movie outside of the MCU, like characters exist for one movie and one movie alone. So it's
Yeah.
like
That's true. I know.
At the same time, they
it's kind
grow
of-
though. Thanos doesn't grow; he just gets introduced.
Whoa!
They talk.
No, dude. When
How
he's
does
on
Thanos change
Vormir,
the character without Infinity
when he's
War?
on Vormir,
He chooses to kill Gamora anyway, and is sad about it because he killed his daughter.
I think I side with
it's still
Jay
a
on
choice
this
he
one.
has to make. It's still like a turning point. Like we as an audience, like we're able to empathize with Thanos, and we understand that in this moment he realizes he has this choice, and there are like two paths he could go down from here, and we see what he does, like what he's willing to sacrifice to go down the path of his original plan.
I don't know. I think I disagree with you because I think like the kind of like I
Okay,
mean since the
whatever.
beginning of the movie they sort of painted Thanos to be this character who was so adamant about his goal, like nothing would stop him, and like I think they made it like abundantly clear. I mean,
But in that moment, he shook, but he still held strong, and I think that's character development. I mean,
But
like
he
there's
doesn't
so many.
change as a result of
yeah,
it.
yeah, like you're right. It is development. You are right.
I think he changes in the way that he respects more. Like
the value
he-
of life.
we understand that he knows what's being lost.
Mm-hmm.
He understands the pain of one life being lost, and he's still willing to kill thousands. Like not even. Why am I saying thousands? Like trillions more people.
I get it.
Well,
I mean,
10 million
I think you're right in that it's growth, but I mean, no, I think you're right in that it's development, but I wouldn't consider it growth. Like growth involves like a character like making some new realization, right? I think Thanos always knew deep down that like he would do anything for his goal. I mean, he says it himself, like you know the hardest causes require like the strongest wills, right? Like he knows that
Yeah.
at the like. I think you're
hardest
right.
choices.
Yeah, the hardest choices. Yeah. So
But then you guys argue that. But then also, I think Jay mentioned earlier, he was saying that in Endgame, it's kind of weird that they fight old Thanos because he's so different from new Thanos. Because
That's the thing. I think Endgame cuts off all that development. I think that's one of the mistakes that it makes.
mhm.
But
By-
but recognizing that, you recognize the fact that Thanos pre-Infinity War is very, very different from Thanos post-Infinity War.
He
And then to
appears in
say-
post-credit scenes.
And then to say that there's no change in there.
He's not established enough to argue that he's a full character before Infinity War. So I don't think that you can say his character develops when really all that's happened to it is being like a figuratively colored in.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. All right, so I guess we can sort of, I mean, Jay, you mentioned Iron Man 1. So I mean, I guess I want to open up the conversation to what do you guys like think about the entire MCU, like sort of like a retrospective. Like, I mean, I think these phases of the MCU, I think they really nailed the spirit of superhero movies. Like I feel like this is like people often call it the end of an era, and I think it's sort of like it's kind of bittersweet to call it that, right? Because I feel like it sets up for so much more, right? Like I don't really consider it the bookend that people have, especially with like only like a few characters who like in the past been introduced are like gone. You know what I mean? Like the traditional Iron Man's gone, Captain America, and that's about it, right? Like the rest of these characters are like their arcs are still going, but like I guess what do you think about like the rest of the MCU? I want to open up to you guys.
Are we talking about
Like
looking
previous.
back?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
previous?
retrospective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that
Um,
I think that Thor is criminally underutilized in the MCU as it
Ooh,
stands.
interesting.
Well, I don't think they realized. I don't think they understood what Thor's character actually was until we got to like Ragnarok.
I think that they changed what his character was in Ragnarok, and I'll say they did it for the better, but the, that could have happened over the course of more than just
No,
Ragnarok.
yeah, no, I think. But here's the thing, like I don't think that's really a good argument to make, because like the thing that happened with Ragnarok is like when they originally casted Chris Hemsworth and had the original Thors, they were like, oh yeah, he's kind of goofy and he has these funny moments, but they overall want him to be like this serious mythological character. And then really getting Taika Waititi in, it's not like they had this. It's not like Kevin Feige had this overarching plan, like, oh, here's how we're gonna change Thor. We're gonna have him start here and we're gonna have him end here. No, they just like brought Taika Waititi in, and he was like, "Oh, like this is what you're best at as an actor, and this is the best version of Thor. Even if we're going to have to make this change, like kind of all of a sudden, it's the best change." And then so he just made it, and Thor's been much better ever since. So it's not like it was.
Agree.
Yeah, it wasn't like this overarch. It wasn't like this plan to have him change. It was they realized Chris Hemsworth's strengths as an actor, and then you changed Thor to really utilize that.
But he's a static character in 1 and 2, in Thor and Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, I'm agreeing
because of what you're saying, though. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like his character has had so much more to it that could have been looked into, and just wasn't, because we don't get the Thor from Ragnarok until Ragnarok.
Yeah. I mean, and
I
like,
think that's I think that's disappointing, but I don't think that's anyone's fault.
yeah, I think you're right. I think like they just didn't like. I mean, the young MCU had like a lot of. I mean, the Incredible Hulk TM, right? Like they had like a lot of like
Yeah.
where they didn't really know what they were doing with certain characters.
Iron Man 2.
But I'm honestly really impressed with Captain America's arc from beginning to end. Like I feel like all the Captain America movies have been more or less solid, if not great. Like I feel like there's like, you know what I mean? Like they're all consistently good, which I'm very impressed with. Like I mean, me personally, like a lot of people consider Winter Soldier the best Captain America. I think Civil War was actually the best. I was a huge fan of like first of all like this sort of like moral dilemma between like Captain America knowing this whole time that Tony's parents died because of Bucky, and like this tension between Iron Man and Captain America that's like built up because like these two are like some of the closest allies, like closest friends, right, out of like these superheroes. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Let me interject.
Okay.
Okay. I never realized this until after I watched Endgame. But if you look back on the MCU, you realize Captain America and Iron Man were never really friends. They were most of the time just like work partners. Because I mean, like, you look back at the original Avengers, they didn't really like each other, but they teamed up at the end to fight the bad guy because they're the Avengers, but they never really got along. And then what movies after that do they interact? Age of Ultron. In Age of Ultron, everyone's mad at Iron Man for creating Ultron, and again, there's friction in the group, and they're really just working together. I mean, there's obviously that dinner scene, but I get more of the sense that they're just work buddies rather than genuine friends, which is why I think it's interesting to think about that way, because I think like in our heads looking back we're like, oh yeah, everyone in the Avengers are friends, but I think when you look at it from the perspective that they're all just kind of work partners, it makes the arcs a million times more interesting, because it makes so much more sense. Like, oh yeah, like no wonder they argued in Civil War. Like they've always been at odds. They've always had friction. And then I think that makes it even nicer at the end in Endgame, when after all that time they became enemies, they hadn't seen each other, they finally come back together, and then finally at the end of Tony Stark's life, he's like, you're my friend.
Yeah.
I'd like to add as well, I think that Tony Stark has definitely retroactively wins the whole debate in Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
In
Like,
Age of Ultron.
yeah, the discussion is whether or not the suit of armor around the world, as stated, is a good thing. And,
Oh yeah.
Thanos shows up, wipes out half the population. Would have probably been prevented with thousands of Ultron suits.
Also, I feel like Iron Man is also the winner of character development, the best evolved character in the entire
Yeah.
franchise. I think Iron Man's transition from like this selfish, conceited, like pretentious asshole, right? Like and his evolution to this caring, loving father who, who like his transition from selfish to selfless is so like it's so subtle yet like so pronounced. I think it's masterfully done. And I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of the entire MCU, and I think it's one of the most impressive things about it.
I agree. I want to touch on what Jay kind of mentioned, that you think that Iron Man was retroactively correct in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah, I agree with that. That he's right about like we need a suit of armor around the world. We need to protect the world. But I think you're missing the fact that it also was sort of about like he was so paranoid about protecting the world, and that he grabbed at this power that I didn't even know about in the form of the Mind Stone. And he's like, okay, this is the answer to our call. Like, the big guy in the sky can come down at any moment to attack us. So we need a defense right now. And it's because of that paranoia and that rush in him thinking that he can kind of play God is the reason why Ultron was created and his ultimate downfall in that movie. I think if you just look back at Age of Ultron and was like, oh, he's totally correct, I think that's incredibly wrong, an incredibly wrong notion to get from that film.
I don't know. I think that asserting he was right is not necessarily correct. I think asserting that he went about his like assertion the right way. That I mean, I think we all disagree with that. I mean, I feel like he could have obviously handled it much better. The creation of Ultron was a huge mistake, but I think at the end
But
of
then
the
again,
day,
that goes back to his character development.
yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, whether or not he was right in the moment, the fact that he was wrong is like contributed to him developing as a character, and like again, it showed him that like his intelligence and intellect isn't like it isn't the end all be all, and like that, like I think that's another beautiful part about the MCU. What do you? Okay,
And also,
so
at the end of the day, Age of Ultron is a terrible movie.
Oh, you're not wrong. Age of Ultron was not memorable or very good at all.
Yeah, the only reason I remember is because they don't shut up about in Civil War.
Also, I should add, in all honesty, I think that Iron Man is definitely the most powerful still human Avenger. Like, certainly.
that's interesting. Expand on that.
Well, he has a suit of armor by Endgame that
He has a suit of armor. Thank you.
he has a suit of armor by Endgame.
Thanks for
which
coming
is-
to my TED Talk.
which is capable of not, surviving a snap with the Infinity Gauntlet, but it keeps him alive for long enough that he can actually snap in the first place, and it survives the power of the Infinity Stones. That's remarkable because when you look at the gauntlet that Eitri makes for Thanos,
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we just talk about the fact for a second that Thanos, to make his Infinity Gauntlet, he had to go to a dying star and get a dwarf to wield him to wield. What am I saying?
To like forge him,
this-
forge him out of a
forge him
dying
this
star.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And Iron Man is just like, let me put in my robot hand.
That's my point, though. That's my point. Iron Man ends up with this suit that is equally durable to something literally forged in a dying star, the same way that
Mjolnir.
So at the end of the day,
Stormbreaker is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the lesson is he is God and he really can create anything.
Exactly.
I mean, he also
Like,
does
Iron
create a
Man's
time
God-
machine.
Also,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Iron Man's God
Can we-
complex isn't
can we talk
necessarily wrong.
Can we talk about how he creates a
Like
how
a
he
literal.
creates a time machine in like 5 minutes overnight? He's just like, oh shit, why didn't I do this before?
Oh yeah, like okay, like that's also like that is like one of the most critical points of Endgame. They're just sort of, he's just like, oh god, oh shit, I made a time machine, and that was the entire like thing. And I was like, oh, okay,
Ant-Man's just like, Ant-Man's just like use these equations. He's like, nope, not gonna work. Just use them. Nope. Just use them. Nope. One night.
So
Ant-Man's
what if I
equations
just-
don't work, but
What if I
still.
just? Oh shit!
What if I just
So-
Mobius strip, guys?
So speaking of time, right? What do you guys looking forward for in like the future of the MCU? I'm just kind of curious. I am personally excited
Oh,
for
definitely
Adam.
100% without a doubt, Shang-Chi.
Who's
I
that?
loved Shang-Chi when I was a kid. Oh my god, I read all his comics.
I don't know who that is, but
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just joking.
All right,
Do you know-
I am
do you not know
personally
about that movie?
excited for Adam Warlock. I don't know
Wait,
what
no,
like
no, no. Wait. Do you not know about that movie?
no.
One of the movies in Phase 4 is Shang-Chi.
I mean I haven't looked at any like leaks or anything about like who's coming in Phase 4. So but yeah,
But
I'm
they announced it and no one knows who Shang-Chi is. It's
but yeah, I
what?
mean, I'm excited for Adam Warlock. I thought like at the end of I think it was Guardians 2 that the Sovereign sort of like makes that little like the egg capsule thing, and she's like, I'll call him Adam. I thought that was gonna lead into Adam Warlock appearing in what's it called, Infinity War, because in the comics. Adam Warlock's the keeper of the Soul Stone, right? So I thought like since they hadn't introduced the Soul Stone before, that's where he was gonna come in. But I mean, I'm still excited to see him in phase 4. I'm very excited for that. But what about you guys?
Honestly, I'm not that excited about Adam Warlock because
Yeah,
I only know him from the Infinity Gauntlet comic, and now that that's over, I'm just sort of like, why do we need him? But anyway,
I get it.
I'm looking at lists.
Well, in the meantime, Jay, do you have any like years you want to see or something?
I would love to see more Scarlet Witch.
Ooh.
Her character is so depowered, I think, and we only start to see it in Infinity War and Endgame, where in Endgame she forces Thanos effectively to fire on his own troops, otherwise he's going to die.
Yeah.
That's an impressive feat, and and I'd like to see more of that. In the same vein, I think that she's actually developed as a character to the extent where it makes sense for her to have those abilities. In contrast, if you look at Captain Marvel, I think that what they're going to have to end up doing with her is depowering her, and that's going to be interesting to see how she copes.
No, but
Otherwise, she's not too interesting.
you actually bring up an interesting point about like how truly powerful Scarlet Witch is. I mean, like think about it. In Avengers Infinity War, she single-handedly destroyed an Infinity Stone, like in a few minutes too, like in like 10 minutes of just shooting her beams at the Infinity Stone. She was able to destroy it. Thanos had to snap. Thanos had to use the power of the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones to destroy the stones. She could just do it with her little beamy power. Like,
yeah,
it's you're right. I think you're right. She's crazy. But I ask you, Jay, like, what do you think they can really do with her if Vision's dead?
I don't
And
think Vision
Quicksilver,
necessarily
too.
has to be dead.
Wait, I'm sorry. With who?
I was saying
The
like,
Scarlet Witch.
what can they really do with her character now that Vision's dead? I mean, I feel like those two were kind of like a unit. You know what I mean? I want to ask you that.
Aren't they making that Disney Plus show WandaVision or whatever?
Oh God,
I didn't know that. They are.
It's called
it's
called WandaVision.
But
It's
I want to see it
like
on the computer screen.
it's about, I don't know, it's supposed to take place in like the 50s or something.
Huh.
And people have been thinking it might be like House of M. I don't know if you guys know what House of M is.
No.
But,
I don't. I'm assuming there's some time travel involved though. After everyone's figured out
House
how
of
to-
M is an X-Men comic where basically Scarlet Witch goes crazy or something. I think
Is that
maybe
the
her-
one where she says no more mutants and they all disappear?
No.
And also I think it's
Wait,
a different
is that-
character.
No, that's Scarlet Witch.
I thought it was like
That's-
I thought it was like she creates an alternate reality or something where it's like her ideal world or something. No, it might be where she says no more mutants. It might be that.
I think that's also highlighting how depowered Scarlet Witch is, because that's a reality
yeah.
stone to your ability that she just does.
Also, we need to like, we always forget the fact, like, I mean, we as like a community in general, like we always forget the fact that her powers literally come from the what's it, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
But
pretty
that's
powerful.
odd, because the Mind Stone isn't a power source. It's really weird that her powers
Yeah.
from the Mind Stone let her do what she does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess So like
Wait, just
Go ahead.
quick question. How, how did Hydra like take the Mind Stone and give someone like super speed abilities with that? Like, how
The
do those
Mind
things?
Stone has been shown to be able to teach you how to do things.
Oh,
That's
yes, please teach me how to run really fast. Thank
no,
you.
not how to run really fast. How to modify someone's genetics so they can run really fast.
Is that what? I don't think
yeah.
that's what it was.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. Like, what other explanation is there? But
Yeah.
Okay,
I kind of want to
whatever.
ask you, like, are there any like sequels you guys want to see? I mean, me personally, I want to see.
Can I go?
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
I really want to see Doctor Strange too.
Oh yes, that's what I was gonna
Yes.
say.
I think
Yes.
I think Doctor Strange 1. I know some people don't really like it too much, but I think that when that came out, they weren't too sure what to do with it. Like,
I
there's
agree.
obviously the common criticism that's just like, was it like light whips or something?
Yeah.
Like, it's just sparkle, what, kung fu. I think after, I think after Infinity War and Endgame, they understand a lot more who Doctor Strange is.
Oh, and
and
Ragnarok.
and what and what people want to see in terms of like his combat and stuff. And so I think they're really going to capitalize off of that in Doctor Strange
for
too.
sure, dude.
And also, I want to see what happens with Baron Mordo. Like, where's he been?
Oh yeah, oh for sure, yeah, you're right. I was gonna say I completely agree. Doctor Strange 2 is one of my. I would love that. I'm like I love Doctor Strange 1. I saw it regularly, and then I went and saw it in 3D. And watching that movie in 3D is one of the coolest, like trippiest experiences ever. Like the visual effects in that movie are so fantastic and so underrated. They're probably some of the best in the MCU, in my opinion. They're amazing. And I think Doctor Strange's powers being so far like detached from like cool powerful metal suit or like like the vibranium shield, right? Like it's not something physical, right? It's like this magical sorcery that like sort of has no limits. I think there's so much cool stuff they could do with that. Speaking of stuff that we don't really know about, Guardians. I'm excited for a Guardians sequel. What do you guys
I
think?
think they've got James Gunn for it too, right?
Really?
That's gonna be Well, James Gunn is back in the MCU,
Oh, that's awesome.
which is good.
Oh, you didn't know about this?
No,
I don't intend to speak on the controversy with James Gunn, but I will say that Guardians 3 is gonna be fun, especially with Thor.
Oh
integrated with the
yeah,
cast.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
One of the player titles is actually the As Guardians of the Galaxy, which is gonna be nice if that
Dude.
ends up being it.
that's really cool.
I would probably put Guardians 3 at the number one of like my most anticipated, except for the fact that I'm not too excited for the whole. I'm assuming it's gonna be like like the search for Gamora plotline.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
But
That
why?
just doesn't interest me. It doesn't
They know where
interest
Gamora
me.
is.
But like, it doesn't interest me.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Gamora or Nebula. I think both their characters are kind of lame.
Yeah, they're really flat in one.
I like
opinion.
Nebula a lot more in Endgame. I think Endgame flipped me on her.
I still don't like her because of Endgame.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I just like I don't know what it is. I just feel like Nebula and Gamora were both very one-dimensional. Like their entire characters are like, I'm scared and I hate life because Thanos raised me. You know what I mean? And like, oh gosh, I'm really hard to love. I'm really slow to trust. You know what I mean? Like that's their entire character. And I don't know.
It's like someone took a single character trait and built an entire character out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're underselling. I think you're underselling her character in Endgame, but whatever. I don't have her scenes as kind of present in my head enough to argue it, so I'm not gonna. But so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I think I mean I think you make a good point. I just like I think if they do go for like a search for Gamora arc, right? Like I just at least hope like they change Gamora's character from like out of that experience. You know what I mean? Of like being cast out and stuff like that. So I guess we can yeah, we're going on pretty long. I guess we can sort of wrap it up. So I mean, overall, I mean, what do you guys what do you guys feel towards the MCU? I'm honestly very impressed with how with it so far. I think it's I think it definitely rivals franchises like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings in terms of like how how influential it'll be for like our generation and the next, right? Like I feel like these characters they've made them so extremely
That's
memorable.
fair.
I mean, I think
I thought
like
you were about to say something else.
no,
and I was gonna,
yeah,
I
I
was
think
gonna fight you.
I think
But no, in terms of influence, I totally agree. I think
yeah.
these are super influential.
And I think it's really cool how like they took like these superhero comic book characters that like no one cared about. Like I mean, before the MCU, I mean like
They're
Batman
all
and Superman,
B-listers.
but like Batman and Superman were like the coolest superheroes. Like but like now Iron Man and like Thor and like Captain America are like the dope ones. You know what I mean? Like before
Yeah.
the MCU, no one like not a lot of people acknowledge the Marvel universe as being equal to DC, but like now it's completely flipped. Just
I
because
also
like
don't want to get into
single-handedly.
DC being bad too much, but at the same time, I
Oh,
think that's
trust me,
learned from
we'll,
because
we'll save that for
DC
another podcast.
Yeah, I just think DC in Marvel in compare. I think that Marvel did a fantastic job of turning B and C as characters because the Guardians of the Galaxy are literally nobodies.
Oh yeah,
before,
for sure.
into characters who we can love, and
Yeah, you're right.
additionally, I think that the cultural influences of these movies are really widespread
Hmm.
because they're teaching good lessons about what it means to be a hero and how it can be different for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful how like these stories like aren't even as much about like the cool superpowers and fighting big bad guys, but it's about these people who are like not that different from us, like coping with this power and like coping with the responsibility that being so powerful and in a universe with this much power has. You know what I mean? I think it's impressive. I think it's really well done as well, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, Nico, what do you think, man?
Um, I don't know. I really like. I think it's impressive what's accomplished. I think even though some of the movies on their own can be kind of bland at times, I
Hmm.
think there are some real standouts in there. And I think overall, if you take it as a whole story, it's like no one's ever done anything like that, like this before. And we need to applaud it because it was definitely very difficult.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know. I think with Endgame, I'm kind of satisfied. I want to see kind of superhero media in general like try new things.
I think you're right.
And looking at Phase 4, like nothing excites me too much. So I guess like I'm still gonna see them,
Hmm.
but I don't think I'm as excited as I used to be. I'm more excited to see what I don't know to see other directors and studios kind of do different things. Like, did you guys see the Umbrella Academy on Netflix?
No.
I haven't no.
It wasn't the greatest thing. It wasn't the greatest thing ever, but it's different. And I'm more excited to see stuff like that than another sort of Marvel movie.
Yeah,
So
I think you're right. I think that is something that I would like to see like in the future of like I think I want them to like dip a little bit out of their comfort. Like they're like oh Phase 4 is intergalactic, right? But like I don't care about going intergalactic. I don't care about like the scale of the world, right? I care about like what you do with these characters. You know what I mean? Like I'm excited for Guardians 3 not because I think it's going to be unique, but like because I love the characters, But I think you are right that like there is something to be said, and I think I would like to see an overall improvement on like the cinematography and like I think like the pacing of the movies, especially like my issue with a lot of Marvel movies that I just don't feel like they're well paced. Like
yeah,
a lot of them feel really slow or really
I
fast.
think they're kind of cookie cutter.
Yeah, and a lot of them are really predictable too, which is like also why I loved Infinity War because like it would like I mean like if you didn't know that it was a two-parter, you would be like, oh, they're gonna figure out a way to do this, right, and then everybody dies. So like,
But
yeah,
also, I think that the Russo brothers were put in a unique position where they were able to do that, and a lot of other directors in the MCU don't really get given the creative control to do something like that, even if they maybe want to.
yeah, I get it. I think you're right.
But yeah, I think I'm. That's not to say I'm not extremely satisfied with what they've done so far. I think I really love the movies as a whole, but just for right now, I'm kind of ready to. I just want to see some new things. I want to see some interesting things. I want to see some crazy things, weird stuff. I want to see Fantastic Four. I want to see John Krasinski being a stretchy boy, and
Okay, see, I think that the superhero genre has kind of been given an example that's been set
Mhm.
for it, and I don't think we'll be able to meet that example again.
Yeah,
In all honesty,
I think you're right. I mean, we
Well-
of course we can hope.
of
That's
course,
why I'm
I
saying
don't
I
think it's
think-
practical.
that's why I'm saying I think studios and directors need to realize now to kind of branch out and try different things.
Mhm.
And I think we're starting to see that. I mean, it is in the MCU, but with Thor Ragnarok, we saw Taika Waititi definitely try something really different.
Yeah, for sure.
With superhero movies. One of my favorite TV shows, Legion.
Mhm.
I know you guys probably don't know about that, but that's a very different show.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, I might have explained to you guys the plot already, but
I think
Dude.
I think we could probably save that for like another episode on like TV shows and stuff
no,
like
I want to plug it.
that. Okay, you want to plug it? Go ahead, plug it.
No, it's like it's a X-Men TV show where basically the main character is the son of Professor X, and he's the most powerful psychic mutant in the
Oh,
world,
that's pretty
except he has schizophrenia.
Oh, sad moment right there.
So it's crazy.
But yeah, we definitely
love it.
will end up doing like an episode about like our opinions on like these like Marvel like Netflix shows, for example, like Luke Cage, etc., Iron Fist.
Okay, I don't think you can discount the OG Marvel show on TV, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If it-
I mean,
I-
yeah, like we're totally gonna get to that, but I think we can wrap it up for today. So everybody who's out there listening, make sure to subscribe to the JSN Podcast channel. We're gonna be doing videos like podcasts rather every week. Again, alternating between music, movies, and games, etc. And so next week, our topic is gonna be the classic rock genre, and like focusing on Billy Joel and stuff like that. Like that kind of music. And we're probably gonna have a guest on here, but and I'm also gonna leave a link to the Discord. We have a community Discord for the JSN Podcast. I'm gonna put that in the description. You guys are all welcome to join, and of course you can suggest topics for us to talk about in there. But
There's even a topic suggestion channel.
yes, yes, there is. But overall, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to say to the people listening? I'll take that.
Well, okay, there are probably like 5 of you, so that's at most. That's really optimistic. But at the same time, hope this was fun.
Yeah.
Certainly will happen again.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun recording this first podcast. I mean, we had a few bumps in the road, but overall, I think it was pretty fun. And
I think it was pretty okay for a first run.
yeah. All right. Well, regardless, hope you guys all enjoyed. Again, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for next week. Yeah. All right. This is
signing off.
JSN
See ya.
signing off. See you guys.